Why didn't he just say Joe Burrow? They didn't tell him who number one was.
No.
The question was, can you guess who's number one? And I remember Jamar Chase last year being on the board for saying, among many things, Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in football. Listen, Joe Burrow didn't get worse because he got hurt. And what happened? Here's what I don't understand. Here's what I want to know.
Here we go.
What happened to this Jamar Chase energy? The last two Bengals seasons have, of course, been ended by the Kansas City Chiefs. Once in the AFC title game, and last year on New Year's Eve when they needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they lost. And Jamar got in a little scrap with great Chief L'Jarius Sneed during the game, and then afterwards seemed totally unbothered. So you just were eliminated from the playoffs by the team that eliminated you from the playoffs literally the previous year. For the second straight year since the last time his team was in a Super Bowl and kind of choked it away, he watched a team that he considers their rival, a team that I'm sure he didn't think in that moment was that good and had anything going on that season, go on and win another Super Bowl. And now Patrick Mahomes is Candyman? You can't say his name or else fear of what's going to happen. You can't even lie to the camera and say Joe Burrow's better. So you can't do that, and you can't say just Patrick Mahomes' name. So I just want to know what happened to Jamar Chase, because that's not the energy I'm used to having from Jamar Chase,
bad luck, Greg. It's bad luck.
Look, number one, who was this quarterback in that game?
Jake Browning.
So he wasn't on the field with his guy.
Okay, no, but the last time they played, he was.
Yeah, the last time. But this year, the question wasn't is Joe Burrow better than Patrick Mahomes or who's number one? It's who do you think is number one? Yeah. That's going to be revealed. I mean, Joe Burrow has already been revealed.
What?
So he knows it's not his guy. He said Joe Burrow, naming the guy that he feels like in his heart is really truly the number one. But
he doesn't think Joe Burrow is number one. He knows Patrick Mahomes is number one.
That's why he wouldn't say it.
He knows it.
He knows it. And that's why he's bothered.
Guys.
What?
Guys, if you're going to ask a receiver who has a quarterback that's one of the best in the business, unless he's Kirk Cousins and you got Justin Jefferson, he's not going to say Kirk Cousins.
What? Okay.
But Jamar Chase is going to say Joe Burrow.
Then why didn't he?
He's terrified.
Because he knows Patrick Mahomes is going to be revealed as one.
So, okay.
And I tell you, this is why I need a part-time job. Media consultant. Say, hey, say, you know what? I'm not going to answer. Let me call my consultant. And I'm there, available 24 hours a day when you get tough questions. And this is what I would have said. Rick, can we go just to my camera? I'm going to.
Oh, wow.
Say, well, I know the list probably has Patrick Mahomes as number one, and that makes sense. He's reigning Super Bowl champion. But, my guy, when they play head-to-head, goes right up against him, and he's won 3 times and put up better numbers in pretty much every category. So if you're asking me, Jamar Chase, who's better? Well, the numbers don't lie. My guy, Joe Burrow.
So why didn't he?
Remember this graphic. Anytime Nick wants to use graphics and head-to-heads to prove that another player is inferior, because under Nick's own logic, come on, you would have to say that Joe Burrow is a better quarterback. He's better than Patrick Mahomes under Nick's logic.
Say that
because that's why I'm here. That's why me and Josh put it all together. Like, that is an argument.
It's not, but you sure.
Well, that's definitely an argument. Career head-to-head, one guy, it's 3-1. If it was reverse, we would say it's a wipeout. The Super Bowls. I'm a Super Bowl wins guy too.
No, I'm not a Super Bowl wins. I'm also less interested in things that happened. That Aaron Rodgers thrown for 300 yards more recently than I think Joe Burrow's beaten Patrick Mahomes. So I'm just telling you.
It's an argument.
But I just want to go back to something real quick, Greg. How long did you play in the league?
10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
In that 10 years, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how many players in the league were you afraid to say their name?
None.
Okay, so why?
He's not afraid to say his name.
So
why?
He's not afraid.
What do you mean?
His name.
Then why didn't he say? Then what is it?
He's choosing. He's choosing not to.
Okay.
All
right. It seems a little salty.
He's not afraid to say his name.
We got a group of college kids in here. I think the young people parlance is definitely salty, and that's what he seemed like. Yeah, I'm correct. It's not the same energy that I'm used to seeing from Jamar Chase. That's all. Okay. That's all. I know we want to talk bigger picture Bengals stuff, but
no, I wasn't going to talk bigger picture.
Oh, we're not?
That was just going to be it. Yeah.
Oh, well then we have to bring out the board.
Well, that's what I was waiting for.
All right, we're not doing the board. Okay. let's talk about this because I actually, this is going to shock a few people. I agree with what Nick is saying, but only partly. And I agree more predominantly with what Greg is saying. I do think Wilds with that graphic is pretty great. I really want to remember that graphic anytime Nick wants to use little snapshot statistics and snapshot graphics and head to head to prove that one quarterback is worse than the other or better, whatever it may be, because that to me is a perfect example. I should actually screenshot that. But that's a different story. In terms of the whole thing with Jamar Chase, first off, he's definitely not afraid to say his name. Is Jamar Chase being weird and goofy? Absolutely, right? Like, and I actually wholeheartedly agree with what Wild said. You know, saying, I know people are, because they're asking, who do you think is number one? Who do you think is going to be number one? It's not like they're saying, who do you in your heart believe is the number one? It's like, who do you think they're saying is number one? And he knows that everyone is saying Patrick Mahomes is one. And that's why he doesn't want to say his name. He kind of sees it as Patrick Mahomes is the enemy. I don't even want to add to that. You're not going to get any sound bite of me saying that he's number one. Like, that's really what he's thinking. He's very, he's a younger player, probably thinking social media clips, sound bites, all that type of stuff. And he's like, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt of saying that Patrick Mahomes is a number one quarterback. Get out of here. Especially when my quarterback's Joe Burrow. So it's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of not trying to feed into that. But I agree with what Wild said. Like, that would be the more proper way to handle it. But let's be serious here. These football players are not always great at handling interviews or PR little interviews. But I do also understand, though, what Nick is saying in terms of, like, what's this energy and also this, like, saltiness of Jamar Chase. I think Jamar has kind of been weird for a few years now. I don't like how he's handled Kansas City and how he's kind of handled that rivalry back and forth because the Bengals haven't won enough. And I think it's always weird to talk a lot when you haven't won anything just yet. I think it's actually, you look kind of silly. And the Bengals and Jamar Chase, more specifically, look silly in that regard compared to the Chiefs. I think coming from Jamar's point of view, perspective, he's thinking that the Bengals are a great team. Joe Burrow is great. He probably truly does believe that Joe Burrow is a better quarterback, a better thrower of the football than Patrick Mahomes. And he's frustrated that Joe Burrow is getting injured and and now that, you know, it seems like the prime of their careers and having T. Higgins and some of these other weapons, it's just starting to slowly slip. And yet the Kansas City Chiefs have had the benefit of health, consistency, whatever it may be. And I'm sure that, you know, Jamar Chase he's obviously smart. He's not dumb. And so he knows that. He feels that. And I'm sure there is some resentment and envy towards the situation and how the cards have fallen for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's why Jamar Chase was probably so confident talking that talk, because he believed in his team and he believes in his quarterback. But the powers that be, they get injured, they have issues, and they just can't bring it home, unfortunately, for the Bengals and Jamar. So I think that's where that gets rooted in. And that's why I think it was weird, right? Because didn't Jamar Chase say who one time or something like that? I forget exactly what he said, but he's thrown shade at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think it would maybe only land more if they actually won a Super Bowl, right? Or they they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a few more meaningful games, right? Like another AFC championship game or two. Then I could see that making a little bit more sense. But it's just you just look kind of silly when Patrick Mahomes is winning all these MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs, Super Bowls in general, and you're like, it feels childish and petty and envious. And so that is where then I am definitely more on the side of Nick, but where Nick loses me when he's talking about Jamar Chase being afraid. There's none of these players are afraid of Mahomes or any other player. You don't make it that far in the league by being afraid. You can respect the other side, but you're not afraid, because I promise you, we're living in an era right now, especially where the level of talent and just the level of respect for other players is kind of through the roof. But the fear and the mythology of these other players is not. Right? Back in the days of a Michael Jordan or even a Tom Brady, to keep it with football, there was this legendary building that they probably did have this fear. And I think now with this younger generation of players, they see it more as we could be that team if only things were a little differently. I believe that the Bengals think if Joe Burrow was healthy, we could have won a couple Super Bowls. If only, right? Josh Allen says, gosh, if only my defense didn't blow that, I would have beat Patrick Mahomes. I would have won a Super Bowl. Again, whether it's accurate or not, it's irrelevant. It's just how these other teams feel, right? I'm sure Shanahan and a lot of the other 49ers players are like, we are better than the Kansas City Chiefs. If we just had a better quarterback, we would have won that game. The Eagles thinking, God, Jalen Hurts outdueled Patrick Mahomes. If only that penalty wasn't called. If only the field wasn't slippery. And the 49ers also last year, if only Greenlaw didn't get injured, we're better, right? Like they see and respect the Kansas City Chiefs as being great and an elite team and a dynasty. People are hesitant to call them a dynasty. I already consider them a dynasty, no question in my mind. But I think a lot of other teams see it as things are falling their way. They're obviously a great team. They're obviously putting themselves in a position to keep winning, but they also are getting just the luck of the bounces just seem to keep going their way. And it's like, if in a different situation, we can be there. And I think that's really what it is. I think we saw that. I think the first time we kind of saw this whole idea of these legends not having that same level of admiration was kind of LeBron James, right? When LeBron James entered the league, was winning at a high level, being great, you have majority of the players appreciate his greatness, but they're like, nah, like, yeah, LeBron is a freak, but like, I'm a freak too. I'm not looking at that guy like he's a level above me, right? Steph's not looking at LeBron as a level above him. KD's not looking at him as a level above him. Kobe Bryant definitely was not looking at LeBron as a level above him. Just not what it was. But in the era of Michael Jordan, it does seem that a lot of those players really did look to Mike and be like, you are a level above us. Even just watching Shaquille O'Neal give interviews about Jordan, you can hear it and feel it, that he is saying, yeah, Jordan's on a different level. He is in a different tier. He is in a true league of his own. I don't think we have that anymore in the NFL, especially with these quarterbacks. Joe Burrow truly feels if he was just healthy, he would be better than Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen definitely feels if he just had a couple more weapons and a legitimate consistency at offensive head coach or coordinator, he would be better than Patrick Mahomes. CJ Stroud believes he's going to pass Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love believes he's going to pass Patrick Mahomes. Caleb Williams believes he's going to pass Patrick Mahomes. So I just think we're at a different era. So there is no fear. That whole rant is to emphasize this idea that there's fear. No. Fans fear. Players in 2024 absolutely do not. I just don't believe it. But it is just weird what Jamar Chase is doing and how he's kind of handled the Kansas City Chiefs. But I know it eats at him. It's a tough pill to swallow when you feel you should be at the top of the mountain and you see this other team consistently getting there. And so I think at the root of it, it's not that Jamar Chase is afraid. It's envy. He envies the Kansas City Chiefs' success. He envies Patrick Mahomes' success. He envies probably having the fact that Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid, quite honestly. I'm sure he likes his coach, but he recognizes, he knows Andy Reid is the GOAT coach. And I think there's just a tremendous amount of envy and having a couple rough years back to back, it's starting to build up. And I wonder if he's also starting to get like antsy about this season and what can this season look like for the Bengals. So, yeah, definitely interesting nonetheless. But I love how Nick always has to, you can agree with him, but then he has to take it to the next level, right? Like there's no way he believes that Jamar Chase is afraid, right? Like I just can't see that. And yeah, just crazy to me. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jamar Chase not saying Patrick Mahomes' name? And is he afraid? And what do you think his thoughts are towards the Chiefs? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.